Welcome, everyone, to our podcast, where we delve into the world of business strategy and performance measurement. I'm your host, and with me today is my co host, who is just as excited as I am to explore the Balanced Scorecard and its impact on modern businesses. So, without further ado, let's dive in. What do you think? Is the Balanced Scorecard just another management fad, or is it a game changer?
Oh, hi everyone. I'm super excited to be here. The Balanced Scorecard definitely isn't just a fad. It's a comprehensive framework that helps organizations align their activities with their strategic goals. But can you explain what exactly the scorecard is? I know it has something to do with different perspectives, but I'm curious to hear more.
Absolutely. Great question. The Balanced Scorecard is a strategic planning and management system that is used extensively in business and industry, government, and nonprofit organizations. It translates an organization's mission and vision into actionable objectives. The key innovation is that it looks at the organization from four different perspectives: financial, customer, internal processes, and learning and growth. By balancing these perspectives, organizations can ensure they are not just focused on short term financial gains, but also on long term sustainable growth.
That makes a lot of sense. So, can you give us an example of how a company might use the Balanced Scorecard in a real world scenario? I've heard of companies like General Electric using it, but I'm curious about more specific examples.
Sure thing. Let's take a look at a hypothetical company, say a retail chain. In the financial perspective, they might set KPIs like increasing revenue by 10% and improving profit margins. In the customer perspective, they could focus on customer satisfaction scores and repeat customer rates. For the internal processes perspective, they might look at supply chain efficiency and inventory turnover. Finally, in the learning and growth perspective, they could measure employee training hours and retention rates. By aligning these KPIs with their strategic goals, they can ensure that every aspect of the business is working towards the same vision.
That's a great example. It really helps to see how it all comes together. Now, can you explain what KPIs are and why they are so crucial in the Balanced Scorecard? I know KPIs are important, but how do they fit into this framework?
KPIs, or key performance indicators, are quantifiable measures used to evaluate the success of an organization in meeting its strategic and operational goals. In the context of the Balanced Scorecard, KPIs are the metrics that help you track progress in each of the four perspectives. They provide a clear, data driven way to measure performance and identify areas for improvement. For example, in the financial perspective, you might use KPIs like revenue growth, profit margins, and return on investment. In the customer perspective, you could use customer satisfaction scores, net promoter score, NPS, and customer retention rates. Each KPI is tied to a specific goal, and together they form a comprehensive picture of organizational performance.
I see. So KPIs are like the building blocks of the Balanced Scorecard. But what about the financial perspective? How do companies ensure they are not just focusing on short term gains at the expense of long term health?
That's a fantastic question. The financial perspective is crucial because it provides the bottom line metrics that are essential for any business. However, the Balanced Scorecard ensures that financial goals are balanced with other perspectives. For example, a company might set a KPI to increase revenue by 10% in the next quarter, but they also need to consider the impact on customer satisfaction and employee morale. If they cut costs in a way that harms customer service or employee well being, they might see a short term financial gain, but it could lead to long term problems. The key is to set financial goals that are achievable and sustainable, and to monitor other KPIs to ensure that the organization is not compromising its long term health.
That's really insightful. Moving on to the customer perspective, how do companies ensure they are meeting and exceeding customer expectations? Customer satisfaction is so important, but it can be hard to measure and improve.
Absolutely, the customer perspective is all about understanding and meeting customer needs. One of the most common KPIs in this perspective is customer satisfaction, which can be measured through surveys or feedback forms. Another important metric is the Net Promoter Score, NPS, which measures the likelihood that customers will recommend your company to others. Companies also track repeat customer rates and customer retention rates to ensure they are building long term relationships. For example, a software company might set a KPI to increase their NPS by 10 points over the next year, and they might implement initiatives like improving customer support and offering loyalty programs to achieve this goal.
That makes a lot of sense. I've seen companies struggle with internal processes, though. How do they ensure their operations are efficient and effective without sacrificing quality? I've heard horror stories of companies cutting corners and losing customers as a result.
That's a great point. The internal processes perspective focuses on the processes that an organization uses to create value for its customers. KPIs in this perspective might include production efficiency, time to market, and quality control metrics. For example, a manufacturing company might set a KPI to reduce production cycle time by 20% while maintaining or improving product quality. They could achieve this by investing in technology, streamlining workflows, and training employees. The key is to ensure that improvements in efficiency do not come at the cost of quality or customer satisfaction. Regular audits and continuous improvement processes can help organizations stay on track.
I see. So it's all about finding that balance. But what about the learning and growth perspective? How do companies ensure they are investing in their people and fostering a culture of continuous improvement?
The learning and growth perspective is often overlooked, but it's crucial for long term success. This perspective focuses on the intangible assets that drive an organization's performance, such as employee skills, morale, and innovation. KPIs in this perspective might include employee training hours, employee satisfaction, and the number of new product ideas generated. For example, a tech company might set a KPI to increase the average number of training hours per employee by 25% over the next year. They could achieve this by offering more internal training programs, encouraging employees to attend external conferences, and providing mentorship opportunities. By investing in their people, companies can ensure they have the skills and knowledge needed to drive innovation and growth.
That's really interesting. So, how do organizations balance all these perspectives? It seems like a lot to manage, and I can imagine it's easy to lose sight of the big picture.
Balancing the perspectives is indeed a challenge, but it's what makes the balanced scorecard so powerful. The key is to ensure that each perspective is aligned with the organization's overall strategy and that they are all working together towards the same goals. For example, a company might set a strategic goal to increase market share by 15% over the next 3 years. They would then set KPIs in each perspective that support this goal. In the financial perspective, they might focus on increasing revenue and profit margins. In the customer perspective, they could work on improving customer satisfaction and retention. In the internal processes perspective, they might streamline operations to reduce costs. And in the learning and growth perspective, they could invest in employee development to drive innovation. By regularly reviewing and adjusting these KPIs, organizations can ensure they stay on track and make data-driven decisions.
That's really helpful. I'm curious, though, what are some common pitfalls that organizations encounter when implementing the balanced scorecard, and how can they avoid them?
Great question. One common pitfall is overcomplicating the balanced scorecard. It's important to keep it simple and focused on the most critical KPIs. Another pitfall is not involving the right people in the process. The balanced scorecard should be a collaborative effort involving key stakeholders from across the organization. Additionally, organizations often struggle with data quality. To avoid this, it's crucial to have robust data collection and analysis processes in place. Finally, it's important to regularly review and adjust the KPIs as the organization's goals and environment change. By being proactive and flexible, organizations can avoid these common pitfalls and make the most of the balanced scorecard.
Those are really valuable insights. As we wrap up, what do you think the future holds for metrics and KPIs in the balanced scorecard? Are there any emerging trends or technologies that are changing the game?
The future of metrics and KPIs in the balanced scorecard is exciting. One trend is the increasing use of data analytics and artificial intelligence to automate data collection and analysis. This can help organizations make more informed decisions and respond more quickly to changes in their environment. Another trend is the focus on sustainability and social responsibility. Many organizations are now incorporating environmental, social, and governance (ESG) metrics into their balanced scorecard to ensure they are operating in a responsible and sustainable manner. Finally, there is a growing emphasis on employee well-being and mental health, which is leading to new KPIs in the learning and growth perspective. By staying ahead of these trends, organizations can remain competitive and resilient in an ever-changing world.
Thanks so much for sharing all this valuable information with us today. It's been a fantastic conversation, and I'm sure our listeners have learned a lot. Thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you next time.